Robert Carson stood in his study looking at the invitation one more time. The annual charity gala, black tie, plus one expected. He was 42 years old, a successful CEO, and for the third year running, he'd be attending alone while everyone else brought their wives, their husbands, their partners. His late wife Jennifer had loved these events. She'd been gone for 3 years now, taken far too soon by an illness that had moved through their lives like a storm. Their daughter Lily had been only 3 years old then. Now she was 6, with her mother's brown hair and thoughtful eyes. Robert had tried dating. Well-meaning friends had set him up. Professional matchmakers had called, but nothing felt right. He couldn't bring himself to introduce Lily to women who might not stay, who might leave another hole in her young heart. And honestly, he wasn't ready himself. The grief had settled into something manageable. But his heart still felt closed, like a door that had been locked for so long he'd forgotten where he'd put the key. Still, this gala was important. His company was the main sponsor. Showing up alone again would mean another evening of pitying glances and awkward conversations about his personal life. That's when his assistant Margaret had mentioned the service. Professional companions for events. No pretense of romance. Just someone to accompany you to functions where being alone felt like wearing a sign that said incomplete. Robert had hesitated. It felt artificial, somehow dishonest. But Margaret had been gentle in her explanation. It's not about pretending anything, Mr. Carson. It's just about having someone there who understands that. Sometimes we need a little support to get through difficult social situations. Think of it as hiring someone to help you through an evening, the way you'd hire someone to help with any other professional need. So he'd made the call. The service had been professional, discreet. They'd assured him the companion would be appropriate, well-spoken and comfortable in formal settings. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, standing in his bedroom, adjusting his bow tie in the mirror, Robert wondered if he'd made a mistake. But it was too late to back out. The doorbell would ring any moment. "Daddy!" Lily's voice called from downstairs. "Someone's here!" Robert took a breath and headed down the curved staircase of their home. Through the tall windows, the evening light was turning golden, casting warm shadows across the marble entryway. When he reached the bottom of the stairs, he saw his daughter standing near the door in her favorite pink dress, the one with the tulle skirt that made her feel like a princess. She wore small white bows in her hair. She'd insisted on dressing up because Daddy's friend is coming, and standing in the doorway was the woman from the service. She was younger than Robert had expected, perhaps in her early 30s. She had long blonde hair that fell in soft waves, and she wore an elegant black dress that was sophisticated, without being ostentatious. But what struck Robert most was her smile. It was warm and genuine as she looked down at Lily, and there was a kindness in her eyes that couldn't be faked. "You must be Lily," the woman said, crouching down to the little girl's level. "My name is Claire. Your daddy asked if I'd go with him to a party tonight, and I have to say, you look absolutely beautiful in that dress." Lily beamed. "It's pink. That's my favorite color. What's yours?" "Well, I've always loved blue," Claire said thoughtfully. "Like the sky on a really clear day. But pink is wonderful too." "It's happy." Robert found himself standing there, momentarily forgotten, watching this exchange. There was something about the way Claire spoke to Lily, not talking down to her, but truly engaging with her as a person. It reminded him of how Jennifer used to be with their daughter. "I'm Robert," he said finally, stepping forward. "Thank you for coming." Claire rose and extended her hand. Her handshake was firm but gentle. "Claire Morrison. It's nice to meet you. Are you Daddy's girlfriend?" Lily asked with the directness only children possess. Claire's smile didn't falter. "No, sweetheart. I'm just a friend who's going to keep your daddy company tonight at his work party. Sometimes grown-ups like to have a friend with them at parties, just like you probably like having friends at your birthday parties." "Oh," Lily said, processing this. "That makes sense. Daddy doesn't have very many friends anymore. Not since Mommy went to heaven." The words hung in the air. Robert felt his throat tighten. But Claire's expression remained gentle, understanding without pity. "Well, then I'm glad I can be his friend tonight," Claire said softly. The housekeeper, Mrs. Walsh, appeared from the kitchen. She was a grandmother figure, who'd been with the family since before Jennifer's death, and she'd helped raise Lily in the years since. There's my girl, Mrs. Walsh said. Come on, Lily, let's let your father and Miss Claire head to their party. We have a movie to watch and popcorn to make. Can Claire stay for a little bit first? Lily asked. I want to show her my drawings. Robert started to explain that they needed to leave, but Claire caught his eye and gave a small nod. We have a few minutes, she said. So they found themselves in Lily's playroom. Surrounded by toys and books and the cheerful chaos of childhood, Lily proudly showed Claire her latest artwork, drawings of flowers and houses and stick-figure families. This is Mommy, Lily explained, pointing to one figure with yellow hair. She's in heaven now. And this is Daddy and me. And this, she pointed to a space. She'd left blank. This is where someone new might go someday. But I don't know who yet. Robert's heart clenched. Claire knelt beside Lily, looking at the drawing with genuine attention. That's beautiful, Claire said. And you know what? It's okay not to know yet. Sometimes the best people come into our lives when we least expect them. After a few more minutes, they said goodbye to Lily and headed out to Robert's car. The drive to the hotel where the gala was being held was quiet at first. I'm sorry, Robert said finally, about Lily's questions. She's at that age where she's very direct. Don't apologize, Claire said. She's lovely, and she's processing loss in the way children do, openly and honestly. There's wisdom in that. She loved you immediately, Robert observed. She doesn't usually warm up to people that quickly. Claire was quiet for a moment. Children have good instincts about people. They haven't learned to pretend yet. Can I ask, Robert said carefully, how you ended up doing this work? The companion service, I mean. If that's not too personal. Claire looked out the window at the city passing by. It's not too personal. I was a teacher for several years, elementary school. I loved it, but I had to step away to take care of my mother when she got sick. After she passed, I needed something flexible while I figured out what came next. A friend told me about this service, and I thought, why not? It's not what people think it is. It's actually quite meaningful sometimes, helping people through events that might otherwise be difficult for them. I'm sorry about your mother. Thank you. It was 2 years ago. She had Alzheimer's, and by the end, she didn't remember me. But I sat with her every day anyway, because love doesn't require memory. Robert found himself moved by this woman's quiet strength. There was something genuine about her, something that made him understand why Lily had responded so warmly. The gala was everything Robert had expected. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers. Elegant people mingled with champagne flutes, and a string quartet played in the corner. His colleagues and their spouses greeted him, and for once, the greetings didn't come with pitying, looks, or awkward questions about his personal life. Claire played her role perfectly, but role wasn't quite the right word. She was simply herself, gracious, intelligent, able to hold conversations about art and business and life with equal ease. She didn't pretend to be his girlfriend or his date. When people asked, she simply said she was a friend who'd accompanied him, and somehow that simple honesty made everything feel less artificial. During dinner, seated at a table with other executives and their partners, Claire charmed everyone with stories about her teaching days, about the funny things children say and do, about the wisdom that comes from spending time with young minds. You must miss it, one of the wives said. Teaching, I mean. I do, Claire admitted. But I learned something important while caring for my mother. Sometimes life takes us on detours, and we have to trust that there's a reason. Maybe I'm meant to do something different now, or maybe I'll go back to teaching with a new perspective. I try not to rush the journey. Robert found himself studying her as she spoke. There was a peacefulness about her, an acceptance of life's uncertainties that he envied. He'd been so focused on controlling everything since Jennifer's death, on maintaining stability for Lily, that he'd forgotten how to simply let things unfold. After dinner, during the dancing portion of the evening, Claire excused herself to call and check on a friend. Robert stepped out onto the balcony, needing a moment of quiet. He was standing there, looking at the city lights, when his phone rang. It was Mrs. Walsh. I'm sorry to bother you, Mr. Carson, but Lily is asking for you. She can't sleep and she's getting upset. Robert's heart sank. This had been happening more lately. Lily's anxiety at bedtime, her fear that he wouldn't come home. I'll be right there, he said. He found Claire inside and explained the situation. I'm so sorry. I need to go. I can have my driver take you home and send your payment. Don't be silly, Claire said. "Let me come with you. I'd like to say goodnight to Lily anyway." Robert started to protest, but something in Claire's expression stopped him. It wasn't pity. It was simply kindness. They drove back to the house in comfortable silence. When they arrived, Mrs. Walsh met them at the door. "She's in her room," the housekeeper said. "Poor little thing. She had a nightmare about you not coming back." Robert's chest tightened. He hurried upstairs, with Claire following at a respectful distance. Lily was sitting up in bed, her eyes red from crying. When she saw Robert, she burst into fresh tears. "Daddy, I had a bad dream that you went away like Mommy." Robert scooped her up, holding her tight. "I'm here, baby. I'm right here. I'll always come back to you, always. But what if you don't?" Lily sobbed. "What if something bad happens?" Robert looked up and saw Claire standing in the doorway. She met his eyes, and in that moment, something passed between them, an understanding, perhaps of how grief lingers, of how loss teaches us to fear it happening again. Claire stepped into the room, her voice soft. "Lily, can I tell you something?" Lily looked up, sniffling. "When I was a little girl," Claire said, "sitting on the edge of the bed, I used to worry about the same thing. I was so afraid something would happen to my mommy or daddy. And you know what my grandmother told me?" "What?" Lily asked. "She said that worrying is like rocking in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. She said instead of spending our time worrying about bad things that might happen, we should spend our time being thankful for all the good things we have right now." "But bad things do happen," Lily said, her voice small. "My mommy died." "You're absolutely right," Claire said gently. "Bad things do happen, and it's not fair, and it hurts. But you know what else is true? Your daddy loves you so much. He came home from his party just because you were scared. He takes care of you every single day, and Mrs. Walsh loves you. And I bet you have friends and teachers who love you too. All of that love is real, right now, in this moment. That's what we can hold on to." Lily was quiet, processing this. Then she looked at Claire with those serious eyes. "Are you going away now?" Claire glanced at Robert, uncertain. "Well, I should probably get home. Can you stay just a little bit?" Lily asked. "Until I fall asleep, please?" Robert expected Claire to make an excuse, to gently extract herself from this unexpected situation. Instead, she looked at him, asking permission with her eyes. "If you don't mind," he said quietly. So Claire stayed. She sat in the rocking chair by Lily's bed while Robert lay, down next to his daughter. And in a soft voice, Claire began to tell a story, not one from a book, but one from her own imagination, about a little girl who was brave and kind, and who learned that love is stronger than fear. By the time the story ended, Lily was fast asleep, her hand in her father's. Robert carefully extracted himself and motioned for Claire to follow him downstairs. In the kitchen, he made tea while Claire sat at the counter. Mrs. Walsh had gone to bed, and the house was quiet except for the kettle's whistle. "Thank you," Robert said, handing her a mug. "You didn't have to do that." "I wanted to," Claire said. "She's special, your daughter. She's dealing with something no child should have to deal with. And she's doing it with such courage. She has nightmares sometimes," Robert admitted, saying out loud something he rarely discussed. "About me leaving, about being alone. The grief counselor says it's normal, that children process loss differently than adults, that it comes in waves." "It does for adults too," Claire said quietly. "The waves, I mean. You think you're fine? And then something small happens, a song, a smell, a moment, and suddenly you're drowning in it all over again." Robert looked at her, really looked at her, and realized that this woman understood loss in a way most people didn't, not theoretically but deeply, personally. "Your mother," he said. "When she forgot you, that must have been its own kind of loss." "It was," Claire said. "I grieved her while she was still alive. And then I grieved her again when she died. Sometimes I think the first grief was harder, watching her slip away piece by piece. But in a strange way, it taught me to be present, to appreciate each moment, even the difficult ones, because they're all we truly have." They talked for another hour, sitting in that kitchen, drinking tea. They talked about loss and love, about parenthood and purpose, about the ways life surprises us when we least expect it. Robert found himself sharing things. He hadn't told anyone his fears about failing Lily, his loneliness, his uncertainty about the future. And Claire listened, really listened, in a way that made him feel heard rather than judged. Finally, she glanced at the clock. "I should really go?" "It's late. Let me drive you," Robert said. "You don't have to." "I want to." During the drive to Claire's apartment, Robert found himself not wanting the evening to end. When they pulled up to her building, he turned to her. "I should pay you for tonight. The service said I could send it through them, but I'd rather—" "Robert," Claire said gently, "tonight stopped being about the service around the time I met your daughter.